That's a huge golden nugget right there. I've never heard of that one before, and so I'm glad you um, let my audience know about that one. That's a big one. Hey everybody, I'm here with Cameron Scott. So what's up, Cameron? How you doing?
What's going on, Gina? Thanks for having me on. We've
Yeah,
been
thanks for
talking
being
about
on it.
this for, God, I don't even know how long.
I know. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, and the reason why I got you on here is because I saw your post on my Facebook group.
Yeah, the whole point of that is just kind of help inspire
Mhm.
people to kind of see what's possible.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about that. But for those that don't know Cameron, you can see right here, he's Merch Jar founder, 100K plus sales Amazon seller. I also going to read his bio here. So Cameron Scott is an Amazon merch on demand seller with over 100K sales. 100,000 sales on the platform. He's
Units,
the
not
founder.
revenue. So it is higher, but
Oh yeah,
it's getting
he's the
there.
founder of Merch Jar, a tool that helps Amazon sellers manage and automate their Amazon advertising. And he runs a Facebook group, Amazon Ads University, where you can learn best practices from thousands of other Amazon advertisers. Thanks for being on the show, Cameron.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, I've got some good questions. I know you do a lot of advertising. We're going to talk about that, and maybe we can show some of the numbers that we showed on the Facebook group, just to kind of give people some context on what kind of numbers we're talking about. And then I'm going to ask you some, print on demand questions, or mainly Amazon print on demand questions to help people out who may be just starting or are in it in a little bit. So, should we
Yeah,
look at those
absolutely.
numbers first?
Yeah, we can toss those on here.
It's,
So yeah, this is a live view of my merch account. So Cyber Monday, Black Friday just happened. You can see did 624 units in sales, 3,200 in royalties, and Cyber
amazing.
Monday just kind of eked that out a little bit, almost 700 units and $3,600 in sales. And this was
Wow.
my best Black Friday Cyber Monday yet. This
Wow.
is about 50% year over year growth from 2021. So really excited about that. I had no idea it was going to be that big of an increase, but
That's
really excited
amazing.
about that. And you can see I just hit yesterday 140,000
There
sales
you go.
lifetime, which I know this was a question you were going to ask, but I'm tier 140,000. So I just
Oh, right.
sales qualified. Last night it hit it, like, I don't know. I was watching my sales trying to wait for it to beat Black Friday to see if it would. And so I ticked the 140,000 mark. So it was kind of a big
Wow.
milestone.
So does that go up when you hit the sales all time? How does that switch the tiers? I know it kind of changed not recently, but
So it's based on how many. There's generally two criteria, and this is just based on like kind of what we've seen. Of course, no one really knows for sure if
right.
Amazon's going to change it or anything, but based on what we've seen the last few years, whatever tier you're at, you need to sell that many units,
Okay.
excluding returns. So those kind of count against you as the presumed kind of how it works, and then you
Okay.
need 80% of your unique design slots filled. And that was a shift they made not too long ago. It used to be just how many listings you had. You had
Right.
to have 80%, and now they changed it
So
to
that live designs right there, is that the one?
yep. So I have 115,000, and then the 80% of the 140 is 112. So I am officially
Oh, nice.
qualified across the board to hopefully do the next tier, which
Another tier
probably gonna
up.
be 160. I didn't get any of those like mercy tier ups to the 200 that
The
I know some
200,
people
right to
got.
200. Yeah, some
Yeah,
people
yeah.
did.
I had to do it the old fashioned way. So
That's fine. That's cool, man. All right. Good to know. All right, I got a bunch of print on demand questions for you.
yeah,
So
let's jump in.
let's do this. Okay, so um, first of all, kind of want a little bit of history from you. What
Mhm.
got you into the print on demand business, and when did you start?
I started merch about 4.5 years ago, and that's kind of when I, for the most part, got into print on demand. Maybe a few months prior, but I was kind of in between projects. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always had something going on, some startup or business I'm trying to do, and I was kind of looking at my next thing.
Hmm.
At the time, I was creating video ads for Facebook, and I thought that was going to be my next thing. I was going to do some startup around creating video ads for, whether agency or whatever that looked like. And I saw, I think it was on Reddit actually. So this was almost 5 years ago at this point. I think it was somewhere around early, whatever, how many,
2017.
2017,
2017,
how many years back that was. There was a post on Reddit. Somebody was talking about print on demand and what it was. And I had never heard of it at that point. Or if I had, I didn't really think too much of it. And he was talking about his Shopify store and how he was making like 10 grand a month,
Uh-huh.
which at the time sounded like crazy money, selling t-shirts targeting cyclists, just this very
Oh, wow,
niche
niche.
focused
Yeah.
store. I'm like, that's crazy. So I started looking into it more. I created a couple designs myself at that point, and they weren't very good at all. I should maybe try to find one and send it to you. I think one was like a cat shirt. I don't even remember what else, but I created a Shopify store, ran some Facebook ads to it. I think I sold like 2 shirts.
Oh, man.
So it was not successful. So I was still kind of like looking for my next thing. And somewhere around that same time, I heard about merch. I don't even remember where it was. It could have been on Reddit. I'm on there too much. And I I applied to merch when I saw. I was like, it's, why not?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. And a couple weeks later, I got an approval. And then from there, I started creating some designs. I did a few myself. I hired a designer at some point to create a few designs, and I got a pretty quick start. I got out of tier 10 pretty quickly. I made a design for someone that worked at a school that I forget what the situation was. They had a design that was just like really simple that all the teachers were wearing,
Oh,
and
smart.
no one else, you couldn't buy the shirt anymore. Like whoever made it like went out of business or something, but all these new teachers wanted the shirt still. So like, okay, I'm like I like took a picture of the design and like made one that was really similar to it, which I wouldn't do now. I wouldn't
Right.
recommend like doing it. I made like tried to do a pixel for pixel design for this, so these teachers could get a shirt.
You were
And
just
I sold
starting
that
out. You
cost.
didn't know. You didn't know.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it was fine. But I sold that cost, didn't make any money, but I sold like 36 of these designs to these teachers, and Amazon tiered me up from basically like tier 10 to tier 25 to tier 500
Wow.
very quickly. And at that point, that's when I got a designer, put some designs up. And I remember it was just a couple months later. It would have been like June, or I think it was June of that first year. Maybe this was 2018, somewhere in that ballpark. But
Right.
I made like $700.
Wow.
And that was the first time I was like, oh,
This
like
works.
this is the real deal. Like
Yeah.
this could be something. And from there I went all in. I mean, that's when
Nice.
I just scaled up, filled up all my design slots, and I kept pushing it as much as possible.
That's awesome. And you have no plans of stopping, sounds like.
No, I'm hoping I can retire on this account one day.
Yeah.
That's like, this is the
Just keep it
retirement plan.
going.
It's very passive.
It's on there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like still growing. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
still doing its thing. I don't plan on stopping. I love the industry. I have some other projects that I'm sure we'll end up talking about
Yeah.
that are kind of like more of my focus at this point, but kind of merch is what's starting that, and that's not slowing down anytime soon. Hopefully not.
Well, that's a really good story. Thanks for sharing that. You can see it. Like it took you about 4 years, is what you're saying. You've been on the platform for about 4 years, 4 or 5 years. So that's good to
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's my 4th holiday season.
Yeah. So what other are you only using? You talked about Shopify. Are you only using Merch on Demand, Merch by Amazon, or are you on different other platforms?
At this point, merch on demand. That's pretty much all I'm doing at this point. I've tested, did some stuff with like Etsy and tried Redbubble, put a couple thousand shirts on there, I think at some point, and just really wasn't seeing the results where it was worth the effort. So just it's kind of like an 80-20 rule, like going all in on what's working and making the money. And that's merch by Amazon, merch on demand. And it's really just hard to compete with the scale of Amazon, how much traffic they have. Just no other platform really competes.
I have to agree. Yeah, there's nothing like it. I've been on the print on demand business since 2005, is what I say. And just
Wow.
when I saw merch on demand and how fast it took off, I'm like, this is it. Like nothing else even touches Merch by
Yeah, and
Amazon.
Amazon's still investing in it, and haven't seen any new products in a while, but I mean, they're still like changing things and
But the proof is
investing
in
in the
the
platform.
royalties that you got. The proof is in the like that Black
Yeah.
Friday and that Cyber Monday. That's proof that it works, right?
Yeah,
Um,
more people are buying on
mhm.
Amazon than probably ever before.
Yeah.
People are getting used to buying apparel on there. I think more than ever.
hmm So that's a good segue to my next question, which is, do you think print on demand, you started 4 or 5 years ago, do you think print on demand is a good business to get into today? Why or why not?
I do think it's still a good business to get into today. It's not going anywhere, just first and foremost. And if anything, it's just growing. I see demand is kind of just getting started. I mean, we're going to see new products coming out over time. Um, I mean, I could see it eventually, like, we even see stuff like jewelry that you can print on demand and create. So, I mean, I see just the type of products that could be produced on demand just growing. I mean, look at like 3D printing, for example. I mean, that's
True.
almost like a print on demand. And as that technology increases, we could see all kinds of crazy stuff you could do print
hmm
on demand, not just apparel's like the classic one, because that's been the easiest to just print onto a product, but it doesn't have to stop at t-shirts.
That's true. We could do like print on demand Funko Pop designs, just like 3D characters. That would be really cool. I would love to
Yeah,
get
absolutely. Like
some of these
I
guys
can
back here.
picture that one day.
Yeah.
You're doing some 3D modeling.
hmm
I mean, I've kind of already touched on this as well, is just like how much Amazon is investing in it. And now you're also seeing one of the big shifts in the last couple of years is how many of the big brands are getting involved, the
True.
licenses. You're seeing the
hmm
Disneys and Star Wars and whatever other brands now taking that print on demand approach,
hmm
and they're on merch by Amazon, all
hmm
these huge companies. So they're investing in it as well.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of why my question was that, because a lot of people see that and kind of get afraid of, you know, well, Disney here and I got to compete with Disney and Marvel and all these things. Am I going to really compete with that? And well, you showed that you can. So,
Yeah, I mean, people are always going to buy different products. And
mhm,
I've been fortunate to kind of see some behind the scenes on some big players. I worked at a company called Fanprint. We had some software that we were developing and got to work with some other really big um, printing companies that were looking to make the shift into print on demand. They were primarily wholesale, and this was at the start of COVID when kind of their whole business was falling apart. So of course they're panicking. We've been selling online, so they're kind of turning to us. But seeing how much they were selling in some of these, I mean, I can think of two different companies that I worked with that were each doing over $30 million a year in
whoa,
revenue in just what's called resort wear, which is just like your souvenir type shirts, like cities on a design. Like these
wow,
two guys, we're doing $30 million
that's crazy.
each. So I mean, anything we're doing is kind of dwarfing. It's just like a
Mhm.
drop in the ocean. So there's just tons of stuff that can be designed. Um, I mean, it's not limited to just people wear more than just licensed designs.
Mhm. That's awesome.
And that's still a route. You can still go into the licensing. I
Right.
mean, we did that through
Mhm.
Fanprint. We did all the different colleges and so forth. I probably won't. I mean, it's got its
Not
own
with
headaches
Amazon,
and
not with
whatnot.
merch on demand. Yeah, but you could do it. Yeah, that's
But yeah,
cool.
I have some other points too. Like one other thing I think of a lot with this is with
Uh-huh.
print on demand specifically is when you think of like bringing a traditional product to market is usually you kind of invent the product, and then you need to find the audience that's
Right.
going to purchase that. Where print on demand kind of flips that on its head. You
Mhm.
can find an audience and then create products to target that audience. So it's
Yeah.
completely different than what traditionally is done when you are creating a product. So it creates some really interesting opportunities there.
Yeah, huge opportunity. And you don't have any inventory and you got Amazon to do everything behind. Like it's
I mean,
no
that's
brainer
why
for
I
me.
love Amazon, especially
Yeah.
with some of the other stuff I'm in.
Yeah.
I love that they do all the customer service. I mean, they handle
The 3D
everything. It's
printing, the
very
every yeah.
passive. I just upload my designs and,
Mhm.
just go do whatever.
Yeah, I love it too. So next question, kind of segue from what we just talked about. Since you said it is a good thing to get into right now, what would be your advice to someone just starting out today?
Someone just starting out today. I would say kind of figure out where your skill set lies and try to leverage that. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not a designer, don't necessarily try to be a designer. Figure out kind of what you're good at. And that applies to like the products too, is like create products for the audiences you already know. So if you're into, I like to disc golf, for example. So
Okay.
I created my own phrases, just sat and brainstormed some different phrases for around disc golf. Like if you know your audience, you can create a better product than someone that just has no idea about the niche. So I'd say that like from a starting point is create products around the areas you're very familiar with. So take your passions and your hobbies and whatever that looks like, and you can expand out from there. Like I'm not saying just only stick with that, but that's, I think, probably the best starting place,
Mm-hmm.
because there is a lot to learn, especially if you're going to go down the design route, try to do all your own design. I mean, that in itself is a whole huge skill set to learn if you don't already have that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, otherwise, if possess a skill set you have. So like for me personally, that is very much systems and process based.
Mm.
So that's kind of where I leverage my skill. So I'm not a designer. I think I made like 2 or 3 of my own designs to put on merch, and I outsource the rest. That's where my skill set is in hiring and managing and creating those processes behind it. So that's what I leverage, and that's been has led to my success now.
Yeah, that's great. I like that you said that because I think a lot of people think that there's only one way to do print on demand and that you have to be a designer, design all your own stuff. But if you don't have that skill set, you still can do print on demand and do very well, right?
Yeah, you definitely can. You don't have to be a designer.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. It's definitely a skill set. And if you are a designer, it doesn't mean you can't outsource some of your design, because it's a lot of work to design. If you're designing something, that takes away from your time to do other things, whatever that may look like.
Yeah, that's great. So next question, what tools do you use, if any, to figure out what to design? We talked about, in the beginning, maybe design for yourself and stuff, but as you grow, as you get into the higher tiers, you may want to look for different things to design. Do you use any tools to figure out what niche or what topic to design for?
Yeah, there's tools that can be helpful. And I would say like just there's tons of places that inspiration can come from. So that's the different communities or forums that an audience is a part of. If you're trying to design for a specific audience, basically anywhere that audience hangs out is a good place to look for inspiration. How they're
Mm,
talking, phrases they're using.
smart.
But when it comes to like specific tools, I mean, it's kind of Helium 10 is one we use
Okay.
for when I say we, it's I have a team of designers and so forth that do a lot of this for me at this point. Um, Helium 10 is one we use for, I mean, it's got a lot of functions, but finding search terms to target. The other one that I think is really overlooked is if you're running Amazon ads,
Mhm.
is Amazon gives you the data that you're paying for, of course, of exactly what its customers are typing into the search bar.
Oh, wow.
So your search term reports inside of Amazon's native ad console, if you're running ads, is a wealth of inspiration
Ooh.
to find just. I mean, we've done tons of different designs because you can see exactly what someone's typing in, how many impressions it's getting,
Wow.
or at least that you got, and you can kind of extrapolate even what the total traffic looks like for that search term. So that
Smart.
I think that's honestly one of the best. There's no better data than that you can get about
Yeah,
Amazon.
because it's
Helium
about
10, that's all.
Amazon. Amazon is telling you straight up, like, this is it.
Yeah,
Please.
absolutely. And if you're brand registered, there's even more tools, which I'm not, so I don't have access to it. But I forget what the tool's even called. But there's a tool if you're brand registered, like they'll tell you what the top um, search terms are, what the impression shares of the top products for it are, what the click
Wow.
through shares. Like they give you a lot of this data um, if you're brand registered and you're paying for ads.
Wow, that's so smart. I gotta look into that. I didn't hear about that. I obviously knew they had data, but I just didn't know where to look for it. That's really
Yeah, a lot of people don't think about that. They just look at their search term reports to find like, oh, what keywords should I,
right.
target with this? But you can really go through and see kind of related search terms. And it's like, well, this doesn't really fit my product. as is. It's
I
not
can
like
make
it's
something else.
related, but
Yeah.
it's not like super relevant, but I
Yeah.
can design a product around this. This just kind of goes back to what I was saying is you can
Yeah.
take that audience, like how that relates to Amazon specifically, that creating a product around an audience versus finding an audience for a product with
Mhm.
Amazon, it's taking those search terms
The
and
audience. Yeah.
creating products specifically to target those search terms. And it's a
Smart.
very powerful
Yeah.
strategy you can use.
Yeah. No guessing. I mean, the only thing you really have to do is make a good product for that audience. You already know they're looking for it. There's an
Yep.
audience for it. So now you just have to make sure that what you're showing them is something that they want to buy. So
Yeah, and then get seen, right? Like that's kind of the other
and then
side of
get
it.
seen,
But
right? But they're hopefully you get seen because you're searching for it. Maybe you don't get buried, but the ads, right, will help get you seen.
that, yeah, low competition. So I mean, it
Mhm.
just gives you a lot of different areas. So I would say anybody that's running ads, watching this, go through your search term report, download the last. I think they give you last 65 days
Wow.
of search term data. Just go through that and just see if there's anything that stands out as like, oh, this, I can make a product. You'll probably find some interesting niches or sub niches around what you're already doing, and make your next sale.
Yeah. Huge. That's a huge golden nugget right there. I've never heard of that one before, and so I'm glad you um, let my audience know about that one. That's a big one.
All right,
Um,
we're gonna end it there, guys.
that's it. We can't do any better. No, we got lots more. We got lots more stuff. Hey, so
One
so
nugget per video.
we talked about when you're first beginning and maybe when you're going. Is there any other like different advice for people in higher tiers? As you get higher and higher, does it change what you're doing? Is there different advice for them?
It doesn't have to. I think it opens up some strategies
Uh-huh.
that don't make as much sense when you're a lower tier. When you're first starting out, you're in tier 10, tier 25, tier 100. Really, your only focus should be getting on sales any way possible so you can tier up. So that might be like low pricing. You're not trying to make any profit. Going after trends to hit 100 sales in
Yeah.
a week or so off some trending concept. But as you move up, and where you're just starting at where it doesn't make sense is scale designs where you have,
Right.
I don't
Because
know,
it's going
what's
to take all your slots.
yeah, you have a lot of slots that you can leverage to do more scale designs that really don't make sense. So like cities, we'll talk about that because that's like an easy one to scale.
Yeah.
How many different cities there are in the U.S. Like we have a database, for example, of over 90,000 locations
Wow.
just in the United States, and we could take one design, just like I don't know your retro sunset, and just throw
Right.
every single city on it, and we'll probably get
90,000.
sales across X
Yeah.
number of them. But your New York City, Los Angeles, those most populous ones that have more traffic, more interest, more people living there that want this type of design, more visitors, tourism, etc. That's going to be a lot more traffic. And of course, that comes with competition generally as well, versus some, I don't know, tiny, 100-person population town. There's probably still a little bit of demand there, right? Like you
You
could
might
think
get
of
some
like if
sales.
you're
Yeah.
from a small town, there's probably someone that would buy a shirt that has
Yeah.
your town on it that no one's ever created a shirt for. So there is like some level of demand there, but it's not as much as some of these higher tiers or higher
Trending stuff.
yeah, so like
Yeah.
more of like again the New York cities and so forth. But
Right.
as you and I like to think of it as a demand curve, and I don't know if I can't really
Right.
draw it with my hand, but like at the top of the curve is those popular ones that have more traffic, and as you get down to those more obscure towns, there's less demand. And when you're first starting out, the scaling doesn't really make sense. You're focusing on that very high, just those very populous ones because you need to get sales as much as possible. You don't have as many slots. And as you kind of go through that demand curve, the sell-through rate is kind of how I think of it, is like how often those designs might sell, where a design over here might sell once every 2 years even. That doesn't really make sense when you're limited with 500 slots in the lower tiers. But as you know, in my case where I have 140,000
You're just filling up
designs,
slots now.
I can
Yeah.
kind of fill out a lot more of that demand curve
Yeah.
to soak up more of those sales. And yeah, a lot of those designs aren't going to sell very frequently at all, and some maybe ever. But in aggregate, they do add up. So as you move up in higher tiers, it adds some strategies like that you can do a lot more scaled designs that I mean, honestly, just really nice to have in your portfolio just to kind of pad the revenue. Like, yeah, I have this bestseller hero product that makes up tons of my revenue, but I also have thousands of other designs that kind of slowly kind of bring in sales. And it's just nice to kind of pad that revenue. It's very consistent, evergreen, low competition stuff. So I'd say that's probably the biggest difference between like higher tiers and lower tiers. Lower tiers, you're focusing on less scale, and in the higher tiers, like you can still do that strategy. It doesn't
Yeah.
remove that strategy because you have the slot, so it becomes more of a mix. But as you tier up, it opens that up a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense because you have the room, and Amazon's giving you more slots to kind of play around with that anyway, and so it makes sense to.
Yeah, and I think Amazon, with some of the moves they've made in recent years, is they're telling us that's what they want. They want everything possible to be on their platform, every type
They
of
can handle
design,
it.
and they're going to let their algorithm figure it
Yeah.
out. And a couple of those changes that, like over the last few years, for one, like how high these tiers are.
Right.
There's some people in 2, 3, 400,000. There was a survey that said they had 1 million tier. I don't know if
Wow.
anyone's there yet, but it's crazy. And the other move they made was changing what the tier was to be number of slots to number of
Right.
unique designs. So that one move made everybody's
Tier it faster.
number of designs they could put up multiply by 64 overnight. So they're telling us we want tons of stuff on this platform.
All
We want to have
products, all
everything.
designs, fill it all up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like you see those like personalized ads, like put your name on a t-shirt. It's kind of like that, except to have it already existing. Like they
Right.
want to already have every single personalized item already existing. It doesn't have to get like made. Someone has to design, or some of those apps that kind of type. Someone types it in and it fills it out for you.
That makes sense because they can handle having all of that stuff anyway, and so they welcome it. I heard someone on one of my comments on YouTube, I think, or Twitter or wherever, people were saying you're saturating the market. I'm like, well, Amazon can handle it. We're not.
I
really
mean, so what does that
saturating.
mean though? Like you're saturating the market. Like, so what? Like,
Yeah.
What market isn't saturated? Like it's just business at the end of the day. Like there's
I think so
competition,
too.
and you need to figure out like where you fit in on that, how to compete. So,
And one person like you and I can't really, I don't think, saturate a whole market of stuff on Amazon compared to Amazon. Maybe a niche, we could saturate a niche, but we're
yeah,
not
you could
saturate
do like,
Amazon.
but there's so much traffic. Like I don't think most, so like until, and I didn't realize this until I kind of hit a couple of these products that did go kind of gangbusters, how much traffic there are and how many sales are available, how much these top selling products were selling at these really low BSRs. I mean, it's a hockey stick. It's not the top 1 or 2 selling products are outselling the rank 20 and below, or like from 20 to 1, it's probably 100x difference in sales, or it's going to depend on, I'm just kind of throwing out numbers, but it's as you move up the search rankings, it's a hockey stick. Like it goes straight up. It's very exponential. And I didn't really realize like how much potential there was in sales at the top until you're there, because it's not like, I mean,
you don't know until you see it. Nobody's really sharing it with you, so you got to find out for yourself. Well, you're sharing it with us, but that's nice. Hey, next question. How important are keywords when creating listings? I know you do ads, but SEO keywords and that kind of stuff. How important is that for you?
They're extremely important. I'd say they're just as important as ads are, and they tie very much together. Keywords are how Amazon indexes your listing to a search term. That's how they know what it is. And when I say index, that means you're showing up on their search results. And honestly, like you want as much keyword density as possible in your listing. And I know there's like, some people are going to be like keyword stuffing and all this. Is like, you don't have necessarily keyword stuff to have keyword density. But I will take keyword stuffing over very sparse keyword any day, because the most important thing you can do is index for as many search terms as possible. Every search term that you index for is potential traffic. Every search term has some amount of traffic attributed to it.
Relevant though, right? Relevant keywords, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you want to do relevant. You're not going to really do yourself any favors. I mean, you're still going to appear on non-relevant. Like it's kind of, and this is like when you start advertising, you look at your search term reports and what you're showing up for and getting sales for on
That's
ads. It'll
crazy.
probably surprise you on what you're converting on as well. It's like, is that really relevant? Um,
I'll take the sale anyway.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, for the most part, yeah, relevant keywords, but you still want to be as broad as possible. I
Okay,
would still rather appear on a non-relevant search term than not appear on it. It's
that's
still
true.
giving my product a chance
Yeah.
to convert and get a sale. Um, but the biggest thing is show up for as many search terms as possible. And I mean, if we're talking about quantity, when you first launch a product and start getting indexing, you might appear for a few dozen key search terms. A product that's mature, so like looking at my hero product, that indexes for over 3,000 different search terms. If I'm indexed
Wow,
on 3,000 search terms
that's
and you're
amazing.
indexed on 30, just by that alone, I'm going to get so much more traffic potentially than what your product will.
So let's tell the people watching hero. You mentioned this a couple of times, and I kind
Oh,
of think
sure.
what a hero
Yeah,
product is. But
it's a
tell
term
us
I've been using recently. It's really just any product that
getting you
is
lots of
a
sales. Gonna
significant contributor to your revenue.
okay.
So it's something you'd probably pay a little more attention to than your other products. So I have maybe a few
Your
products I would
best
consider that,
sellers,
and
kind
there's
of your best
one in
sellers or
particular.
whatever. Is that kind of
Say
what they are?
say that again.
Your best sellers are your
Yeah,
hero. Okay,
yep. They make up the majority of my revenue.
cool, cool. I just didn't want people to think that you're doing like Iron Man stuff or Marvel stuff. So, but
No, no, nothing like that.
awesome. Um, Well, we talked about a lot of things that we can do. Like you really showed about what we can do as print on. Is there anything that mistakes that you've seen other print on demand sellers? Let's go on the other end. Like what shouldn't they do? What are some things that people shouldn't do?
And
What are
I
some
think
big
we've kind of
mistakes?
touched on a lot of these already, but not using ads is definitely a big one. Now that we just talked about keywords, I'd probably add that in there as well as not fully utilizing the description as much as possible to get in as many keywords as possible as
Okay.
well. Um, those are definitely two of the bigger ones I see trying to just do this all organically. And I don't want to spend and just being too conservative. And that kind of ties into not treating it like a business if you want it to be. I'm not saying everybody has to like get into print
Right.
on demand. If you just want to throw up some shirts and do some of your own design,
That's different.
that's
Yeah.
totally fine. If you want to just treat it as a hobby, but if you want this to be a business, it's treating it as a business, and that means not trying to be a designer. And even if you are a designer, not spending all your time doing that, because there are other things that are more valuable probably for your time, honestly,
Mhm.
research and so forth, and trying to do everything themselves, so not outsourcing and so forth.
Just growing. Yeah, great advice. Great advice. So um, now's the time we're going to talk about ads. Since you mentioned ads, how important are ads to you? And I'm sure it's really important, but just
Yeah, not very important at all. I don't think anybody should run them. Bring down the cost, but yeah, they're honestly they're crucial at this point.
okay.
I don't think in the Amazon landscape today you can compete without advertising, just straight up.
Okay.
Um,
If you
there
want to grow and keep getting more and more, right? You get
Yeah, I'm
at
not
some
saying you
point you got
can't
to
get
have
any
to.
sales. You're just not going to compete at the highest levels or on probably most search terms. You're just really not going to rank without ads. And Amazon's kind of designed it that way.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it's in their interest for people to run ads as well. So it's, they're making hand over fist on
Right.
ads.
Mhm.
So it's like it's in their interest as well to kind of approach it that way. But they work really well. And it's just a part of the game. Like it is, you can complain about it all you want, but ads are just part of the game now with Amazon. And
Wow.
it's been like this for merch has been kind of like unique in the fact that it's only recently that ads have gotten so much attention and
Mhm.
focus on being as important. Every other product on Amazon has been like that for a long
That's
time.
true. That's true.
And before ads, it was um, like giving product giveaways
Mm-hmm.
and just trying to like increase that sales velocity. And if anything, ads just have simplified that whole process where you don't have to do that anymore. You can just, when you launch a product, just run ads to it.
That's nice. Yeah, the thing I like about it too is Amazon ads makes so much more sense to me anyway. I don't know how you feel than like trying to do Facebook ads to a Shopify or things like, cause you're right on
It's
Amazon and they're,
Yeah. So
yeah.
like Facebook ads is actually kind of where I cut my teeth in PPC, pay per click advertising, which
Uh-huh.
is same thing as what Amazon is. It's basically anytime someone clicks on an ad, someone you're paying for it. So Google ads, Amazon, all these others. So Facebook's kind of where I started, and it is way more complicated than
Mm-hmm.
what Amazon ads is. I would say Amazon ads is actually relatively simple to run, and it can be extremely simple just through the use of throwing up an auto ad. And probably one of the biggest reasons for that is creatives, which would be like the media. When you think of like an ad on Facebook, it's an image, probably a video
Uh-huh.
these days, that you have to have that creative plus the copy that goes above it. Where Amazon, there is some of that. There's those kinds of ads on Amazon now, but the bulk of them, 80% and probably 95% plus for merch sellers, is going to be their sponsored product
Right.
ad, which is just, this is what I want to advertise.
Put me
Here's
at the top of
my
the page.
budget.
Yeah.
Here's what my bid is for it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Especially with an auto ad, you don't have to do anything more
Nice.
than that. And
Nice.
Amazon's going to place it where they think it needs to go. And it's just your listing. It looks just like a regular listing, just with a little sponsored
Mm-hmm.
next to it. So they're extremely easy to set up and run comparatively to like a Facebook ads. So the skill floor is much lower.
Nice. So that kind of goes into my next question. Like, what is something super simple that someone can could do with ads right now? If they're just getting into ads and they want to kind of cut their teeth at it, what's something that's super simple that they could do with?
For merch sellers
Yeah.
and anybody that's got a larger portfolio, so just multiple, I would say, at least a few dozen products. And if you have ads, for merch, at least you probably do, is what I call a lottery campaign. They're
Oh,
extremely
nice.
simple.
Okay.
They're low risk. You can be very conservative with budgets, so you're not risking spending tons of money. And basically, what is just a single campaign, a single ad group. If you don't know what those are, don't worry about it. And just all of your products inside a single campaign. And then you're
Oh,
letting Amazon handle the rest. Every single product
just
inside a
keep
single
putting your
campaign.
products as you upload them into Amazon, add it to
Yep.
advertising. Okay.
Yep. You can put up to 500,000 inside of
Whoa.
a single ad group. So
Wow.
everybody's going to be covered probably listening to this. And that's how it's like, if you're brand new to ads, that's where I would start with. If you just want to jump right in, which is,
That sounds pretty
that's
simple.
what I would recommend, is first
Yeah.
of all, is just jumping into ads. The best way to learn ads is by doing it. So that's an easy way, low budget. You can set $2 a day if you want. Set your bids at 4 cents if you want. See if you
Okay.
get impressions. Increase it later if you're not. So um, they're very cost effective. And seeing what some people are doing with lottery as like running just crazy profitable on these lottery ads, it's really cool to see. So that's probably where I'd start. And then as you get a little bit more into, is especially if you have any products that are more of your hero product or best sellers, then you start getting into your, what I call single ASIN campaign. So ASIN's the Amazon identifying number,
For the
B0,
product, right?
whatever, that
Specific product.
identifies your product. So single ASIN campaigns are just a campaign with a single product in it. So you
Uh-huh.
can have a little bit more focus on it. So that'd be kind of the next step, of just create a few auto campaigns for your best sellers. Again, low budget, you can set low bids and just see what happens. And
Nice.
that's where you can kind of start learning, like as you get your ads out, let them run for a few days, figure out how to tweak your bids and so forth. That's absolutely where I would start, is just get started with it. Just simple. You don't have to do anything with like manual campaigns.
Yeah.
Auto ads work
Auto.
really well. Like a lot of the advanced stuff I teach is not really applicable until you're reaching the higher levels with your product and really trying to rank and
Okay.
target. Like the
Wow.
advanced strategies I have are like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 of my products out of the thousands. The rest go into the lottery campaigns,
Really?
auto campaigns for, I think I have less than 300 campaigns total across all my stuff.
Wow.
To be fair, though, I'm also a really lazy advertiser. It's like I don't want
You want to
to
do it
create a
easy
day
way. Yeah.
job around it, so I try to just keep it as simple as possible. I automate a lot of things. Um,
That's
but
good.
yeah,
I
just get
think a lot of
started.
people are like that. I know I am lazy. I don't want to go in there and check every time, and I just want it to be
Yeah,
really simple.
that's not why I'm in
Yeah,
merch. Like it's
yeah,
passive. I'm gonna go disc
yeah.
golfing instead of like sitting at a
Right.
computer and tweaking my bids. And there's always something you can do, especially with ads. Like you could literally set a computer 24/7 and tweak things, do like try to eke out every drop of optimization possible, but there's really diminishing returns. So it's just kind of
Set it
I
and
mean
forget it kind of thing.
80/20, like
Right.
focus on what's gonna really move the needle
Yeah.
for you.
So I think a lot of people, and maybe I'm wrong, but and maybe you've already answered this, but I think a lot of people are kind of risk adverse and then, want to limit their risk with ads because they don't want to spend too much money because they're not making a lot of money. How would you, and maybe those lottery, like low bids are a way to kind of limit your risk. Is there any other way to limit your risk on ads?
Those would probably be the primary drivers to limit risk is, I mean, having a lottery campaign, because a single campaign is super
Hmm.
easy to manage. You can set a daily budget of like $2 there. I'd probably start with somewhere around there. And it doesn't mean you'll necessarily spend it either. And then just start with super low bids. So kind of what I was talking about, start with 2 cents, 2 cents the lowest you can start with, 3 cents, 4 cents. And you probably won't get many, if any, impressions, but you can start there and just kind of slowly inch up until you do. So your risk is very low. You're not going to ever like spend tons of money. But I mean, at the same time, it's also an investment.
Hmm.
Um, and this kind of ties back to one of the biggest mistakes advertisers make. So like kind of translates is not investing enough in the data. They, spend, oh, I spent $5 and on this product and I didn't get a sale. Like I only make $5 on each sale. It's like, okay, but you're paying for that data that's telling you what's not working. And I mean, it's when it comes to, I mean, I could go down a kind of a rabbit hole with this, but it's you're paying for the data, so it's none of that's useless. It's not like you just didn't get anything out of that $5, but you need to invest in it as well.
Yeah.
So be willing to, and that I mean that kind of ties into treating it as a business
Right.
as well. There's gonna be a learning curve, especially with anything new to you, and there's expense to that, and you are gonna waste ad spend and money just like any business does. But when you think of like, I mean, how many businesses do you know also that don't advertise?
Right.
Probably not too many. Someone in the comments is gonna be like, well, this business is super successful. It's like, okay, but like 99% of businesses, like you have to advertise.
Yeah.
And all things being equal, conversion rates, your products, quality is good. Whoever spends the most wins. Like it's an old business adage. Whoever, if your product and mine's equal and everything else is equal, if I spend more on advertising than you do, I'm going to win.
Yeah. Yeah. Treat it like a business. That's smart. Well, speaking of treat it like a business, there's a couple of things that you have that you've built to help us as print on demand sellers. Do you want to talk about a couple of things? I know Merch Jar, and you also have some other ones. So
Yeah, Merch Jar is definitely the big one. That's been in the works for a long time. It's a software application that came about out of my frustration with Amazon ads and the tools they had available when it came to merch products specifically and the scale that comes along with it. Generally, merch sellers have just a lot more products than your average Amazon seller that might have a dozen, 2 dozen products, where we might have thousands. So I'm really lazy. So instead of like spending tons of time, I decided to spend tens of thousands on developing this tool to be even lazier. But it automates and manages a lot of the day-to-day activities that you would spend on your ads. So this is going to be for anybody that's probably already advertising, or as you kind of move, get experience with it, this kind of tool. But it's going to automate a lot of those day-to-day functions, manages your bids. We got a lot of really cool automation tools, move keywords from one campaign to another, so forth. So that's an app we've been working on for a long time. It's under full-time development. We're still building out a lot of features. We got a new Chrome extension that's we're about to launch to
wow, cool.
bring all of your ASINs, all of your products from Amazon into Merch Jar, so it's even easier to advertise. So some cool things with that. That's definitely my main focus, and I've kind of danced around it a little bit, but my design team, we do design we have a handful of clients that we do design
Okay.
for as well, kind of in
You
that
do it all.
mid to
Design
higher
and
budget.
ads. Yeah.
Yeah, so I keep it kind of interesting, but yeah, so we do design work for anybody that's looking for not necessarily being a designer. I know that's like against like everything you teach on the channel,
No,
but
that's
for
fine.
anybody that's kind of looking to expand and not do it all themselves. When it comes to outsourcing, is kind of, we could probably spend a whole hour talking about outsourcing and the
Mhm.
challenges with that. So that's kind of what we bring to the table. We have our team that someone else can use as their own, essentially.
Okay. I'll make sure to put that in the description there and YouTube. Make sure that people can find you with Merch Jar, find that design app as well, right? That they can use.
Yeah, I'll put it on there. We don't. I'll just. I don't know. We'll do something for anybody that mentions Juna if they come to us for design. So, well,
Nice.
I don't know what yet. We did. I wasn't really like planning on even talking about it,
No,
but
you're fine. But it's I'd like to, let people know what you're doing and what kinds of stuff you're out there. Anything else before we talked about so many things? Thank you so much for giving so many tips. A lot of golden nuggets in this one. So I'll make sure to put that as well.
okay.
Anything else you want to tell us before we end here?
I don't know anything I should be saying. How do I end this thing? What's happy
Where
selling?
can we find you? Where's the best way to find you if someone wants to contact you? Can they?
My Amazon ads, University, Facebook. It's right,
Yeah,
literally right below me. But it'll be the link. So there's literally thousands of advertisers there. So if you're looking to advertise, that's where I hang out the most. Like my advertising is kind of what I spend most of my time
nice.
around, I guess. But I don't know. That's probably the best way to reach me.
Okay, awesome. Well, this has
Or sign
been
up for
great.
Merchstar, then for sure, like you can get a hold of me.
Okay, and yeah, and Merch Star. I'm definitely going to put Merch Star in there too. So we're gonna have fun with that. I've tried it out a
Hiding
little
away.
bit. It's great. Yeah. Oh, there. That's
Yeah,
how.
the
Merch Star.
microphone. I couldn't figure out how to position this, and it's still, I don't know.
I
Maybe I
see
need
that.
like down the sleeve.
Yeah, or a big poster in the back of your wall, but just says
Yeah,
Merch Star.
try to be subtle about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Cameron. This has been a treat. We're gonna have to do
Yeah,
this again next year for sure. But thanks for all the tips. And we went from beginning to end, and it's been just great about
kept it under an hour
Amazon.
too. That was the main goal. So
Yeah, we did. We kept it under an hour. So that's awesome. I think there was a lot that we talked about, not just advertising, but how someone can start and how you started as well. So it was really good to get all of that. So
yeah, this
thanks.
is great. Thanks so much for having me on. I had a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again.
Of course. See ya. Well, thanks. See you next time. Bye.